Good blessed Tuesday morning, November the 7th, 2023. The time being 4:57 a.m. I greet all human beings all around the world with the universal greetings of peace and the blessings of God be with you. Doesn't matter what your political, philosophical, personal, nor your religious beliefs may be. Doesn't matter whether you're the richest or the poorest person on the face of this earth. It doesn't matter whether you're the proclaimed toughest or the proclaimed weakest person on the face of this earth. Doesn't matter if you're my family friends, nor my proclaimed enemies. It doesn't matter whether you like me or anything that I say or do. That's your prerogative. You have a right to the United States Constitution to think and do as you please, as long as if it's in a respectful and non-violent way. Check out your first, 14th, 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution and many more. What I'm focusing on right now, is my firstborn child and my firstborn grandchild, which my firstborn grandchild father is my firstborn child's daughter. How many people can say that they have pictures like this? To the far left on the top, my son Brian Lamont Johns. This picture was taken in 1975, 48 years ago. Brian was barely 1 year old. To the right of that particular picture is Brian again. Brian was about 9 years old. To the far left again, at the bottom, Brian, in that heart, he was about maybe 14 years old. In the heart, to the right of the heart. To the left of the heart, he had to be, let's see, if we take 48 off, he had to be maybe about, I'll say 42. Back up to the right, up the top to the far right, is his daughter. Isn't she lovely, y'all? A daughter that wanted to know her father. The picture down to the bottom right is his daughter again and me. She was the same age Brian was up there, 9 years old. Today, she's 32 years old. Today, Brian would have been 48 years old. The reason why I'm showing y'all this here is I'm not just an activist and an ambassador of Jesus Christ, an ambassador of God, period. Respect all religions, long as they don't worship man or idols as their supreme being or their God. But Brian went through a lot. So did his daughter. His daughter went through a lot because she wanted to get to know him. And this is something to some of the parents out there that chose a life other than being in your children's and grandchildren's lives. Brian grew up knowing right from wrong. And as he got older, the mistakes I made, I sat down with him plenty of times to try to keep him off of that particular path, even though he went on it and came off. But I always told him, like I told all of my children's, him, Brian, and my 3 daughters, people places, and things can make a real big difference in your life. My parents was in my life, even though I went astray. But one thing about it, I learned from mistakes. Brian could be alive today, even though I would still seek justice from the cradle to the grave to the people that took his life. It had to be more than one, because the way he was hung, there's no way one person could have put him up there by themselves. Ain't no question of doubt they did put him up there. But people, places, and things kept his daughter from being able to see him. He made choices. Even though these wicked drugs is out in the streets today, but still, God give you 5 common senses. And He give you a 6th sense, a spiritual sense, that can supersede all of that. But Brian made a choice. And I did much as I can. But at some point, God would let you know that move out of His way. And if a person don't want to change, even though wrong would come to them, God gave them a chance. I want to say this here too, I raised only 2 of my children all the way from birth. One of them turned 18 in July, and the other one turned 17 in July. Anybody that know me, that I know that I raised my children, I might have been strict to them, but I didn't allow, under my watch, people, places, and things to dictate their future. You see, they never been down to the police station for a crime. They never been in court for a case that they done committed a crime. You see, when they was in the court, they sat in there in the summertime with me to see what goes on in the courtroom. The corruption, the racism, and how people is punished when they commit crimes. They never been to the abortion center. They never been pregnant. They never been without anything. The only thing I demanded in my household was respect. I didn't tolerate no thieves, no liars, or anyone that would disrespect me in any form or fashion. You see, once a person turned 18 in my household, they can still stay as long as they want. But when they come to the point where they have no respect for me, but have respect for the people in the streets, when they come to the point where they don't have respect to my property, my vehicles, or anything else, and have respect for the people in the streets, vehicles, houses, then it's time for them to go. I had to make a decision on November the 2nd, 2023. Almost the same type of decision I had to make with Brian. I had to let go. You see, when your child come to the point when you done raised them from birth by yourself, and they rear up at you, they misuse your vehicles that can cause you to go to jail, but don't do the same thing to the people that they hanging out with, or the people who houses they hang out with. It's time to separate yourself. I talk to a lot of my bishop friends and some other people, and they quoted to me in the Bible about the prodigal son. I know the story about the prodigal son. I know the story about Lot too, when God told him to flee and take his wife and kids with him. But don't look back. I had to do that situation with my two youngest daughters' mother. When we left from certain people, places, and things, I couldn't look back. She looked back. Even though God told me don't look back, I looked back a few times like I did with Brian, to go back to try to bring him out of that world that I know that I was in before, and God allowed me to survive it. I'm a living testimony. Brian couldn't let go. And the people, places, and things that he trusted, they took his life, including law enforcement officials. My two youngest daughters' mother, the people, places, and things that she chose, they took her life. Even though the law and the system didn't call it homicide, I know it was homicide. But in due time, God would reveal all of that. But I had to let my 18-year-old go. I couldn't allow a 18-year-old, a 20 or 30-year-old, or anybody else to disrespect my house, to disrespect me, to disrespect my vehicles. But when you go from my house and no longer have authority to use my vehicles, and you go to a place where your disobedience started at, and these people allow you to come in the house with them, you respect their house, you respect their vehicles. And I still love you. But you know, I don't look at it the prodigal son. I look at it that I did what God told me to do, and I moved out of the way. Now, Brian and my two youngest daughters' mother, God allowed them to be removed off the earth. I pray that my 18-year-old wake up, because I done did all I can to try to bring peace and harmony back. But up under no circumstances would I kiss anybody behind. Up under no circumstances would I go chasing after anybody. I'm going to leave it at this. Don't y'all be like my son, and I don't look down on him, where his daughter wanted to know him but couldn't. Don't be like my two youngest daughters' mother. They wanted to know their mother, but they couldn't. Don't be that child when God called your dad home. You wish that you would have did something different. But in the end, I forgive everybody that do wrong to me, but I won't let my life stop. I won't let my life go back into the world that I came out of. Peace, be still.